Hi there, my name is Sandy, I'm from Spiral Crafts and Workshops, and today's video we're going to help you make some great decisions when you're buying your tools for your wire art. Now, we've got some more videos coming up, so if you want to get notifications about those, hit the subscribe button below and the bell next to it. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up, and if there's any videos that you want to see, then drop us a comment down below and we'll get on to it. Right, 3 tips. Let's start with the first one. So then, mini tools. Now, when I was buying my first set of pliers for my wire art, I was buying them online and I was looking for a good bargain, because aren't we all looking for a good bargain? So I was comparing prices and seeing what people had got and all the rest of it. And what I wanted was a nice set of pliers. These are flat nose that sit in a palm, give you loads of leverage. And I didn't appreciate that size does actually matter. I find these lovely to use because they just fit the hand comfortably. But when I ordered my first set of pliers, what I ended up with was this. So these are a lot smaller. They don't fit in the hand as nicely, and you don't get as much leverage from the back side of your hand. So when you're doing a lot of twisting and bending, it actually makes your hand ache quite a lot. I now have a full set of mini tools if I ever need them. These are actually great for jewellery making, which I do as well, and they're great because they get into little spaces and do little things if you want them, but they're not great if you're doing a larger sculpture and doing a lot of use, because they make your hands ache. So I ended up with a set of mini tools. What I really wanted was a proper size. Now, these are 5-inch pliers, so when you're looking, if you see the word mini online, or shorter than 5 inches, which is 12 centimetres long, if they're shorter than 12 centimetres, they will be the mini. So if you want to set a mini, that's great, go ahead. If you don't want to set a mini, look for the 5-inch, 12 centimetre long, and you're more likely to get the ones that fit your hand a bit better. So don't make the mistake I made, get the right size that you want. Now, moving on, let's do tip 2. The hardware shop. Always check the hardware shop first. So, why? Because actually the hardware shop can be a little bit cheaper. Tools, you can actually get, there are hardware shops online that you can go to get your tools from. You will find that your tools will tend to be a little bit cheaper at a hardware shop. If you see items for sale with the word craft in front of it, then you'll find you'll probably pay a slightly higher price for the same sort of item. The hardware ones as well tend to be a lot more robust because people are using them for DIY around the home. So it is a good idea to check your hardware shop. The other thing you can check your hardware shop for is wire. Now, again, if you see craft wire, it's more likely to be more expensive, but you can get a lot of galvanised wires, like this one, steel galvanised wires, and other straightforward wires is what I describe them as. More sort of DIY wires tend to be in the hardware shop, and they do tend to be a lot cheaper. What I will say is I did go to one store to get some steel wire and discovered that they stored it outside. So it's good to check around what you're actually getting, because it doesn't always come nice and shiny and pristine like this when it's coming from a hardware shop. The ones that in this particular store were really weathered and oxidised on the outside, and I really wouldn't have liked to have made a sculpture out of that at all. If you're looking for a more specialist wire, so if you're looking for more of the, let me just get it out of the bag, so the copper wires that are coloured, you're going to have to go with craft on that, because you don't really get a coloured copper wire that is at the hardware shop, because there's not really a DIY use for it. So you will find for those that you'll have to pay more, for the aluminium ones possibly as well. But certainly it's worth making a stop at the hardware shop first, whether that's online or in person or whatever you can. Check at the hardware shop first, see what they've got. If you can't find it there, then go on and look at the craft sources that you can. And just be careful that if you are buying wire, that it's in good condition. So if you've never bought from somebody before, buy a small amount, see what it's like, and then go back and buy larger amounts and talk to them about it if you can. So that's tip 2, check the hardware shop first. Let's move on to tip 3. So, magnetic tool. What is a magnetic tool, I hear you ask? Now, this was something my dad put me on to, bless him, and it looks like this. And there's a very strong magnet at the end, and it's telescopic as well, so it reaches to the floor really nicely when you're working, so you can actually sort of go straight down to the floor. And the reason I find this so useful is because when I'm working with the wire, and particularly with chicken wire, you tend to get bits of wire or flirt off all over the place, and just not because you particularly cut them off, but with chicken wire it unravels a little bit out of the wire when you put a cut in. And I don't like hoovering that up because I don't like to damage my hoover particularly, because it's expensive to replace. So what I do when I finish working is I sweep round the floor and my work surfaces with the magnet first. Now this doesn't always work with all wires, it doesn't really work with the copper wires, and it won't work with the aluminium, but where you're working with the steel it will, and where you're working the chicken wire it definitely will. And it's the chicken wire that you're more likely to get the little bits coming off with. And it's just a useful tool to have. It just saves me having to get down with a dustpan and brush or anything like that. And it'll actually, the magnet on here is so strong, it'll actually draw the little pieces to it. So you can just wave it around ambiguously and it'll just draw all the pieces to it, and then I can just peel it off the top of the magnet and put it in the recycling box for the metals. So a magnet tool. Very useful, not perhaps so useful if you're doing aluminium and copper all the time, but I do tend to do a little bit more steel and chicken wire, so I find this extremely useful and a very good buy as well. So grab yourself one of those, they're great. So that's it for today. If you've liked that video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see the other videos, give us a subscribe and hit the notification button as well, the little bell. And we will see you again for the next set of tips. Bye!